Welcome to the HMO Property Show by investors for investors. Brought to you by the HMO Property Co, Australia's leaders in impact investing. Investments made with the intention to generate a measurable, beneficial social or environmental impact alongside a positive financial return. Catch us weekly as we discuss all things cash flow positive property investing.
Welcome back to the HMO Property Show. I'm your host, Neil Gibb, and today's podcast is called 9 Reasons Why You Should Invest in Real Estate. Now, I thought it'd be good to record this podcast because a lot of people reach out to me, and when I speak to them, I always ask them, why? Why? What is your why? Why do you want to invest in real estate? Do you have goals set? Do you have an outcome that you're trying to achieve? And a lot of people don't actually have the goal of why they want to do it. Some people do it because they think it's good. I speak to some people that want to invest close to where they live just so they can drive past it and make sure it's still there. You can't actually go in it, but you can drive past it every now and again just to make sure it's there. But if that's why you want to invest, then hands down you are probably going to fail. We should be using data, we should be following markets, we should be investing in real estate that produces cash flow, and we should be producing an asset that is, or a product that is fit for the market. And if you're still building 4x2 investment properties in whoop whoop on the outskirts in the greenfield suburbs to be negatively geared, then unfortunately you are building the same as everybody else, and you are probably going to get the same results as all of the other people that I speak to that are stuck in poor investments, that are not getting as many tenants as they should do, or not getting the rates they probably should do. So here we are, 9 reasons why you should invest in real estate. Now, once you understand money and you make money work for you so that you do not have to keep working for money, then it makes your life a lot easier. Because the people that I speak to, I say to them, what would it feel like to not have to go to work every day? How would it feel for you if you had choices? If you still had the same amount of money coming in from your investments, but each day that you woke up, you did something that actually lit you up instead of you just had to do it because it was you kind of tied to that job, and you really know that you are worth more. You know that you've got so much more to give, but the job pays well. You've got kids, you've got X, Y, and Z going on, and you kind of stuck to that job. So you need to make money work for you so that you do not have to keep working for money. And do not get me wrong, at the start, this is hard, but you have to work hard enough to not have to work hard in the future. So, number 1, and the biggest reason why I feel people should invest in real estate if you want to build wealth, is because historically, real estate has doubled in value every 7 to 10 years. Now, historically, and I know a lot of people are going to go, but Neil, between 2010 and 2020, Perth didn't double in value. I absolutely agree with you 100% there. It didn't. Now, what's to say that between 2020 and 2030, we cannot see the median house price in Perth go from $530,000 to $1 million? Even if we get to $900,000 and it doesn't necessarily value, would you still be happy with a $400,000 uplift in your property or properties if you have multiple? Now, if you don't believe me that history repeats itself, watch a video called The Changing World Order by Ray Dalio. It's on YouTube. Just type that in, The Changing World Order by Ray Dalio. It's an incredible... I've watched it about 7 or 8 times now. It's incredible and actually jaw-dropping when he explains to you what's happened historically multiple times and what is happening now. And it is pretty bonkers. I won't spoil it for you, but it is a great watch. But in Perth, in 1970, the median house price in Perth was $17,000. In 1980, the median house price was $44,000, so it's doubled in value there. In 1990, it was $110,000, so it's doubled from 44 to 110. Now, between 1990 and 2000, it went from 110 to $160,000, so it didn't necessarily double there. But in between 2000 and 2010, check this one out, the median house price in Perth went from $160,000 to $480,000. So it didn't double in value, it actually tripled in value. And here's the other bonkers thing as well, because people say Perth's a boom and bust town. As you can see by some of them numbers there, it's not boom and bust. It goes up in value and market's correct. But in 2009, the median house price in Perth was $470,000. And the median house price in Sydney was $498,000. Now, between 2010 and 2020, Sydney doubled in value. So, keeping up with the trend there of doubling in value every 7 to 10 years. But between 2010 and 2020, Perth went from 480 to 534. So yes, we had that really long, painful downturn that we had in Perth. Right now, the demand that is in Perth is not driven by a construction, oil and gas and mining boom. It is driven by low stock levels and record people wanting to move to the country, because it is hands down the best country on the planet to live in. And I feel very, very proud to live here. And I'm incredibly privileged and grateful that my little boy, Freddie G, is going to grow up in this country as well. But let's just look back at the historical prices there. So 17 plus 17,000 should have got us to 34. It got us to 44. 34,000 plus 34 should have got us to 68. But by then we were at $110,000. So we were ahead of the trend right there. 68,000 plus 68,000 is 136. That should have been in the 2000. We're actually at $160,000, so we were ahead of the trend there. Then 136,000 doubled again is 272,000, and we were at 160,000, so a little bit behind. Then when we tripled in 2010 to 480,000, we should have been at 544,000 a median if we doubled every year moving forward. So like I say, if you were $60,000 under doubling from 272,000 to 544,000, I don't think that's something bad to be sniffed at. So number one, the main reason is real estate goes up in value. Don't wait to buy real estate and wait. One of my favorite quotes, that one. Now, the other, number two, is you pay for 20% of the property, or even 10% of the property if you get the right lender, and the tenant pays for the other 80%. So if you buy correctly and you buy a property that's cash flow positive, or if you are negatively geared and you use some of the depreciation that you can do there and do a tax offset through your PAYG, then you can do it so that you're still paying for 20% and the tenant's paying for the other 80%. And that's your mortgage, your bills, your rates, etc., etc. This also means that if you're putting a 20% deposit down and they're paying for the other 80%, you're getting a 400% return on your money. 400% return. That's absolutely phenomenal. I don't know where else you can get that. Number three is you put 20% in and the bank will lend you 80 or 90% of the value of that property, but you control 100% of that property as long as you keep up on repayments. Obviously, if you don't keep up on your repayments, the bank will force a sale on that property and they will take their 80, 90 or even 100% of the value of that property. But if you keep up with your payments and you've got good tenants or multiple tenants, you put 20% in or 10% in, you control 100% of an asset. So if you purchase a $600,000 property, you put $120,000 down. $120,000 deposit controls a $600,000 property. Your name is on title. You are the legal owner of that property, but the bank has a mortgage over it. But $120,000 down controls a $600,000 property. The next one, number four, is you get the rent or the cash flow based on the full value of that property, not based on the deposit that you put in. So again, if you bought a $600,000 property and it rents for $600 per week, or if you buy a $600,000 HMO and it rents for $1,200 for a week, you would only have 120k in that deal. Hypothetically, let's not get too into the nuts and bolts of stamp duties and renovations, furniture packs, etc. But you've got 20% in that deal. You're controlling the 100% of the property. The rent is based on the 100% value of that property. So the tenant doesn't come to you and say, Mr. Landlord, I know you've only got a 20% deposit in this deal, so I'm only going to pay you 20% of the rent. It doesn't happen. The rent is based on the full value of that property. So again, small amount of money in, full control over a property. Rent is based on that full price. Number 5, this is the best one. Going back to property doubling in value every 7 to 10 years, you get capital growth based on 100% of the value of the property, not on the deposit you have in the property. So let's use a $600,000 example again. You've got $120,000 in the deal, roughly. Let's not get into the nuts and bolts of stamp duty and stuff like that. If the property goes up 10% from 600,000 to 660,000, you have made a 50% return on your investment in that deal. You've got a $120K deposit in there, and it's gone up by $60,000. That means your 120K has got a 50% return on investment. That's pretty cool. Now, we're only talking about capital growth here as well. If we got cash flow in there, if you've got $120,000 in there, and you're also making, let's just round it down to $12,000 a year cash flow, which is, based on the interest rate at the minute, that's a good number to base it on in a HMO. $120,000 in, you're making 10% cash on cash return in the way of cash flow, but then you're getting a double whammy of capital growth as well. So you're getting a 50% return on your capital in the deal, as in capital growth, but you're also getting a 10% net cash on cash return, which is so much better than the bank. But if you left your 120K in the bank and the market moved 10%, your $120,000 would still be worth $120,000, and you would not have generated any cash flow off the back of it as well. This is powerful stuff, man. And I love cash flow. I love cash flow. That's the whole reason that we set this business up, to help investors create cash flow, which in turn helps them to invest into more quality accommodation and put people in more quality accommodation. Remember, you cannot eat equity. You need to slay the goose to get the eggs. So you need to invest in properties that produce eggs constantly. You need to get lots of gooses that produce lots of eggs, and you can live off the eggs. Do not just focus on building equity. Equity is good because point number 6 is you can leverage into more deals from your capital growth and buy more properties. And here's the thing, when you see capital growth in a property, then you go to the bank and you release some of that equity through refinancing that property. You don't pay tax on that refinance. You only pay tax when you sell the property in the future. And we're not into selling properties. We want to hold these things as long as we can. Remember, we want lots of gooses that lay lots of eggs. So let's say your property goes up. You buy a $600,000 property. Your property goes up. Over 3 years, it goes up 20%. So you've got $120,000 additional equity in there. You can go to the bank. You can pull out the $120,000 in capital gain that you've got, or equity uplift that you've got. And then you can go and buy another property with that $120,000. Then you've got 2 properties that are going up 10, 20, 30% over a 3, 4, 5 year period. Leverage. I think Archimedes said, give me a lever big enough, I can move the world. Leverage should be like the 8th wonder of the world, as well as compound interest. Leverage into other deals with compound interest, and seeing the leveraged money into another deal go up in value is just the ultimate. Number 7 is one of my faves, guys. If you go back to episode number 5, it's all about manufactured growth strategies. You can buy distressed properties, or you can buy properties that you can add value to through the way of a renovation, through the way of a subdivision, through the way of a granny flat, through the way of a HMO conversion, through the way of knocking the property down and putting 3 or 4 houses on that same block of land. But you can add value through manufactured growth strategies. And again, you can do this by putting 10, 20, maybe not with development, you might need to put 35 to 40% down. But you can do this with as little of your money as possible. You can do it with other people's money in joint ventures, but the majority of the money you're going to get from the bank. And you can leverage the bank's money to make more money by doing manufactured growth strategies on property. God, I just love property. I love it. We've got some really cool things going on at the minute. I cannot wait to tell you all about them. Number 8, We get massive tax advantages being a property investor. Now, there's two different ways the ATO will look at you. They will look at you like a property investor, or they will look at you as in the business of real estate. There's two different things there. A property investor is someone that buys and holds property, and someone in the business of real estate is a property developer, a real estate agent, a flipper, someone that's actively doing manufactured growth strategies essentially on property over and over again. But if you're a buy and hold investor, you are seen as just a real estate investor from the ATO, and the taxes are totally different. The benefits of being in the business of real estate are so much better than just being an investor. But being an investor still gets you some really cool tax advantages and tax benefits. And one of them, if you go back and listen to a podcast that did, I lost track of the numbers now, but with Mr. Bradley Beer from BMT Depreciation, Brad did a live breakdown on how we can claim depreciation on a HMO, even a renovation versus a new build. He did like the breakdown on both of them, so you can see the benefits of using depreciation to help accelerate your property investment journey and also to pay less tax. Because like my main man, Mr. Nathan Vashish says, it's not about how much money you make, it's how much money you keep from the ATO. And there's lots of legal ways to do that. You just need to know the legal ways to do them. And that's all about building your A team. Last but not least, number 9, my 9th reason to invest in real estate is if you are a property investor, a passive in property investor, or not in the business of real estate, real estate is a relatively low time, low effort is required to run a property portfolio, because you can leverage other professionals like property managers, buyers agents, renovation experts, builders. You being in the business of real estate or being a property investor, you're essentially project managing. You need to manage your managers. So you need to manage your property manager, you need to manage your buyer's agent, you need to manage your builder. Just because you're a property investor doesn't mean you're out there laying bricks and signing leases for all of your tenants. If you are doing that, that is probably slowing you down from getting to your end goal. So leverage. It doesn't get any better than that, does it? You can get so many other people to do all the work for you, and you can sit back and let the market do its thing. Let the cash flow be generated from your portfolio. Let the market go up in value through supply and demand. Leverage into other properties. And this is why we love real estate here at the HMO Property Co. So I hope that helps, guys. Bit of a short one for you. I've got some more pretty good episodes coming up soon. One of them is going to be called Multiple Streams of Property Income. And I'm going to be talking about all the different ways that you can generate income from real estate, so that you can, if you want to, because it's not for everybody, but if you want to leave the job that you're currently in and be in real estate full time, then I'm going to give you all the ways that you can generate multiple streams of income from property so that you can be in property full time. So that's it for now. Hope that helps. And I will see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you tune in the same time next week so you stay up to date with all the cash flow positive property updates.